Hi there, welcome to lesson 3, and in this one we're going to make our site plan beautiful. And as I've mentioned in the previous lesson, the importance of quality when it comes to your drawings is we're talking a planning submission here, it gives the planners and consultees clarity on the actual drawing itself, things like depth, shadow and all that sort of stuff. It adds a three-dimensional feel to your drawings, and that is so important. So clarity. Another one I mentioned, which is a little bit more nuanced, is just the seriousness of the application. If every drawing is beautiful and it's just the whole project is laid out in a very professional way, you'll be taken more seriously as a designer and as an applicant. So it is important. And you know what? We are artists at the end of the day as well. Some might argue with that, but you know what I mean. And sometimes it's just nice to make your drawings look beautiful, just to go beyond a simple line drawing like this. Now, very quickly, just a little bit of housekeeping. I've actually forgot to update the name here. So if we go back to our dashboard, you'll see that we've got these two models here, and that's just called new model. We want to actually update that here. So with nothing selected, we can just change that to Hilltop House. Just a tiny little bit of housekeeping. It remembered me units and all that sort of stuff. So away we go. Now, before we start, let's add some layers. I want to create a layer called Color Fills. And a layer, I want to change the colour of that, that's nice. Let's just set that to a colour that's not in use, basically. Orange. And another called Shadow. Change that to a grey or something. Okay. We'll mess with the order of these in a minute. So, a quick win. And actually, let me just create another layer called Trees. I'm doing these layers initially. It's known to that green as well. I'm doing these layers initially because what I'm doing is I'm picturing what am I needing? What am I needing to produce here? And basically, we're looking at colours. Let's add another one called Textured Fills as well. Textured Fills. So we're doing block colours. We're doing textures. I want my trees on a different layer. You'll see why in a minute. And I want to be adding shadows. So let's jump into the trees. So I want to right click, select similar, same block like that. I want to just put that on trees just so it's a bit more organized. Same with that. Select similar, same block, trees. If I then just turn the tree layer off, it'll show me what's left. Similar, block, trees. It then turns it off. Nice way of working. Block, trees. Nice. And the reason being as well is that we want to maintain some of the other blocks in terms of visibility. We want the car, we want the person. I can't wait to show you the adding people to a floor plan as well. I've always enjoyed that because it really animates a space. So, okay, let's turn our trees back on. And then what I want to do is select similar, again, block. And then what we want to do is we want to pick a direction of the shadows. So I'm going to go for, let's say, bottom left, roughly 45 degrees. There are ways that you can test this. I like to, if I want to be really accurate, I would use a 3D software. Let's just say SketchUp for argument's sake. I would then model maybe a low poly tree or something, model a building, and then set an actual sun angle, making sure that the orientation of the building is true to life. And you get a really accurate sun direction. But for the purpose of this, we're just going to eyeball it in. So we're going to set it to something like that. Hit escape just to deselect it. But we've got the whole thing still selected. And then what you want to do is, if we change the colour of this, it'll change the colour of all the trees because it's a block. So we want to right click and we want to unblock, and then we want to right click and hit group. And then on that, we want to change the layer to shadow. And it's underneath the trees there, see? So it sits under, lovely. We then go to the style area here, and we just change that to a grey, basically, a grey hatch. And there's our shadow. Look at that. Now, we can play with the opacity using the little pencil there, edit. But sometimes, oh no, it's actually worked there. Sometimes you get little, you might get little glitches or overlaps. We might see an overlap on another one. And by the way, we can now move all those in, because it's grouped, we can refine it and it refines them all as well, which I love. I like that it's got a little bit of line work as well, but I think we could probably change that. There we go. So it's just got like the inner lines, which I'm not against. Maybe make it a touch darker, but then do like 50% opacity. Love it. Look at that. Straight away, just adds so much life. So same again. Select all, unblock, group, layer, shadow, and then in the style, we should have that there. So there's the overlap. That's what I was talking about. I don't mind it actually, because sometimes shadows do overlap a little bit anyway. But if you don't want to see that, we have to bring the opacity up to 100, and then you just set a lighter color. Now, notice that that's doing that universally, I think. Let me just double check that actually. Yeah. So I think we would have to add a new style here. Shape wall. So I think it's shape. Here we go. So if we want to make something that's truly bespoke, we go to our style tab, create new. We don't want a stroke. We want it to be a fill like that. There we go. It wasn't letting us delete the stroke until we added a fill. Then what I want to do, right, just to say for ultimate control, we can now see tree shadow there. Excellent. I don't mind that little bit of line work, to be honest. So then over here, we can make a universal change. Let's go for 50%. Although that does look a little clunky, doesn't it? No, but saying that, we do want opacity because we want to see detail underneath, don't we? So we'll live with it. We'll live with it. Right, so we've made that new style. Let's crack on with select similar, block. Where are we? Sorry, copy. Unblock, but make sure you group straight after it, just so you don't lose that selection. Tree shadow, there we are, happy days. Let's just see if we can just... I'll leave that. Okay, so then let's finish these off and then let's admire our work. Unblock, group, just click away, click back. There we are. And look at that, all the trees have got a little bit of a sense of shadow to them. Now, let's change the color of these. Similar, block. Actually, you know what? Let's do another one. Tree, fill. Now we do want an outline, and we want it to be as thin as possible. So we'll go, yeah, we'll keep it to that. And then what we want to do is we want to pick a color. I'm just eyeballing the color in for now. I want to see it on the drawing. Let's do like 75%. Select similar, block. And then here, what we want to do is go tree fill like that. If we go up here and then change the opacity to say 50%, that's even a little bit better. And the reason you want to use opacity in trees is I think they're a little bit overbearing at the minute on the building. So a little bit of opacity doesn't hurt. Now on that, I want to duplicate that, and we'll do tree fill 2. And then we want to use a slightly different tone. Let's go to a bit more of a yellowy. Select similar, block. Sorry, oh, there we go. There we are. Notice that we're getting a little bit of variation now in the trees, which is very important. Watch me rotate RR. I also, with a bit more time, so I'd encourage you to do this, is just play with the rotation as well. Even the scale, really. It's all about that variation. If everything's like on the exact same angle, it looks a little bit flat. Duplicate again. Tree fill 3. And then just same again, we'll just go for a slightly different tone. Maybe we'll go a little bit more on the greener side, like a bluish. Select similar, block, shape, 3. Oh, look at that. So you can see now how we're getting that variation. Again, just spend a bit of time. I think this is great for students as well. I'd have loved something like this when I was at uni. It saves a lot of messing in Photoshop, this. Right, and then let's be very deliberate here. Let's go one more. Let's not mess about. Block 4. And we've just got those subtle differences between the trees. And they've all got shadow. And I think now they're not anywhere near as overbearing as they were. We could probably still do more variation in the rotation and scale and things like that. What scale? S, nice. So we can still spend a lot more time doing things like that, but the lesson will be very long, right? Okay, so that's that sorted. If we then go to our layers now, we should be able to turn all that off. Shadow, there we go. Oh, right. Also, let's go more granular with our detail here, right? And do tree shadow, or or layering, let's say, right? Tree shadow. Oh, wrong layer. I thought so. Let's turn that off. There we are. Tree shadow. Now we said bottom left, didn't we? Let me just double check that. Yeah. Okay. The reason I've gone for tree shadow is because I want to do another layer called building shadow. Now, what I want to do is, what layer is our line work on? Default. Let's turn contours off. Let's do roads and paths, line work. I can't emphasize enough the importance of layers. Okay, imported blocks, that's just them two, so that's fine. Let's do annotation. We'll put some dimensions on this as well, so that will drop into there. And one thing here, I'm talking about the importance of layers, but we're making life easy for ourselves as well by basically decluttering the drawing as we're going. So to then form the shadows of the building, we're going to use the floor plans here. So that's a structure, and then you've got that kind of main structure there. So we're going to just jump back to here. Let's just see. It looks like there's a bit of cover there. See, it's weird. The floor plan doesn't quite relate to that. Ah, sorry. So that must be an overhang. I see. So it's just 3. Yeah, that's a garden. Okay. So it's just 3 there. Right. So it's just that. So to draw the shadow, I won't draw it for not sped up anyway. I won't draw it for every part of it, but just to show here, we go to. Sorry, I rushed into that. We go to zone, okay, and we draw like so. Nice and easy. Look at that. Then go to our styles, shape, and let's call this building shadow, fill. Same again. Let's go something dark like that, and then 50%. Go back, get rid of the stroke over here. Oh. Why isn't it giving us the option? Ah, is it because it's a zone? Let's see if we use, where are we? Building shadow is the layer we want to be on. Does that give us, yeah, right, spot on. My apologies then. And I'll leave that in because I think that's important. So it's not zone, it's polyline. We will use zones when we are getting to our floor plans. Now, if you want to edit that, you go edit path there, and then it gives you the option to make little changes. I think you can add little nodes in as well like that, which is good, but that'll do. If we go back to the floor plan, we've then got, you can see that is the main house there. So again, I would like to, I would typically jump into a 3D model to establish a more accurate route for the shadows, but this is just a nice way of doing it for now. And it's so quick. I think with this thing, it looks daunting at first, but like, look at that, absolutely rapid. Now, I think that is a garage, yeah. So I think there'd be another Yeah. So there's like... I will just finish this actually. It's that quick. Edit path. I want to just make that a little bit more angular. Then finish off like that. Okay, so that'll do us. If we then just have a little peek of everything else. Look at that. Look at that bringing life into the whole thing. Okay, so there's two more techniques I want to show, and then what I will do is I'll then just speed the video up to just fill the rest, and then we'll come back and we'll add a little bit more annotation. So the first one is coloured fills. So rather than a polyline, let's go rectangle. And it's a similar technique to the shadows. If we go back to our styles, building shadow, yeah, let's actually drop that to 35. And then for another style, let's go shape, and then we'll just call it water for ease, right? And then we'll give it a colour. And then same again, it's nice to have a little bit of opacity. And then we want to just change that to water, not to coloured fill. We would then do the same for these roofs. I think the roofs have got, I think they're green roofs, other than I think they're solar panels. So we would repeat that, you know, wherever you want. But the other thing I want to show is I've left something here for textured fills. Let me turn off tree shadow, tree. That'll do. I want to fill in. That's not quite giving me. No, I'll just use a polyline for ease. Now, this is a little bit labor intensive, I must admit, that we've got to kind of re-go over the contours, but you don't want to have the texture combined with the line work. So I don't regret doing the line work separately, because we want that level of control. I just got that wrong there, so just hit undo. So I'm just finding the points. Okay, so we've got that. Now what I want to do is I want to just strike a line across, edit that path, and then just snap that to there. There we go. Done. Now what we can do with the style is actually introduce a texture. Let's go back to the style tab. There we go, texture. If we type in grass, we've then got two options. Let's give it a name, landscape grass, something like that. Get rid of the line work. And there we are. Now, it doesn't look amazing out the gate, I must admit. So what we want to do is we want to jump in here. Let's play with the transform. I want to go for a big texture because I don't want it to repeat. we could go, so we can upload our own as well. That's interesting. Let's go back to the grass, sorry. So what I'm playing with here is the transform to reduce the tiling. I don't really want to mess with any of these. Exposure, it's nice to have the option, exposure and all that sort of stuff. Saturation's quite nice as well, but we deal with that with opacity. I didn't need to click on that. But what's nice here is I do like rotation as well. I think that just slightly takes the tiling away. But then what we want to consider is the opacity, like that. But let me try. I have a grass texture on my desktop somewhere. Hold on. Textures. No, it's not that one. Textures, grass. Here we go. So I know I've got a really good grass texture. Right, it's too big. Let me just downsize that and I'll be back. Right, so we're back, and I must admit that on image, that was what made me think about uploading, but actually in texture, you can just upload as well there. So it's actually dealing with it better. And the reason I say that is because we can then transform it. You couldn't with image. So if I then just scale that up, now look at that. We haven't got any of that tiling because it's a proper like tileable texture from Polygon. That isn't an advert. So we've actually got now a really realistic grass simply by uploading it there. So transform, I've gone like 20x with it, and we don't need to rotate it now because it's a proper tileable texture as well. So I'll go 30. There's nothing wrong with it looking oversized. I think it really emphasizes the texture. And then let's drop the opacity to say a 35. Then a really nice technique is, so I'll just show you this one more time just to get the technique down, and it will result in quite a few of these different styles, but it's well worth doing. Let me just stop there because I don't want to bore you with clicking through all that. I'll do that off screen or sped up. If I then go into shapes here, I want to duplicate this, right? Landscape grass, and we'll just do 2, and we'll just do 2, 3, 4, 5. If I select that, go landscape grass 2, see the little 2 there, and then I want to change the opacity. So you want to go up in increments of, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Say there's 14 of them, right? 14 times 5 is 70. Oh, that might work out quite well. So say from 30, if we go back to this one, let's do 30%. And then that one stays at 35. If we then do another one, duplicate, landscape grass 3, that then goes 40%. Right, if we just do something like that, I'll edit that after the fact. If we then set that to landscape grass 3, what you're starting to get are these, it's hard to see when it's overlapping, but you're starting to get this very smooth gradient of just 5% increments in opacity. And what that does is it gives a sense of the contours. It's like depth, I suppose. And really what you want to do is you want to show, I mean, you could invert it, but I think really you want to show the more opaque texture, the closer to the view, if you like. So this contour on the left, that's going to be the lowest point. So you want it to get darker as it gets closer to the building. So that's a really nice technique. And I love the fact that you can upload your own texture as well, because that is a much better texture than the one that's inbuilt. But fair play to them. The fact that there's even, inbuilt ones is incredible. But I do like that I've got that level of control. So we've got coloured fills, we've got shadows, and we've got those textures. let me, now I did suggest sped up, but there's nothing new that I'll do. So let me off camera just finish this off, sorry. Let me just finish this off by adding the texture to all those contours, and I will also fill in the path, but it will be with the exact same technique that we've gone through so far. And then what we'll do to finish us off is we'll just add some dimensions around the building, just some broad brush dimensions to just bring a little bit of additional scale to proceedings. Here we are. Bulk of the drawing finished. And what I've done is I have stuck to that, the grading of the opacities, and see the way it just feels like there's, again, just a bit of 3D-ness to it. What I did do was I didn't do one every contour. I've done one type of fill every 2 contours, just to reduce the amount of, just reduce the amount of layers needed. At the end of this course as well, we will be providing a link to this file where you'll see all the finished drawings as well. So make sure to keep checking in for the lessons, because on the final one, there'll be that nice link of the full set, so you can see exactly how I've formulated this. But don't worry, there's no new techniques. It's all the techniques we've discussed so far. It just needed a little bit of extra effort in creating the different fills, textures, and so on. And again, a very important thing to mention is the layering. And I've left the trees kind of on purpose here to show you. So we need annotation right at the very top, because we want those notes to be very clear. Same with line work. We want the line work to be sitting proud. We don't want it to be lost in the fills. Same for the pathway there. Then our blocks, we want our blocks to be above the fills, of course. And we need our shadows to sit above the fills. If I drop the shadow below there, it disappears. So if I just go building shadow back there we are. Okay, so with the trees, we do need to move them above colour fills. There we are. Same with the shadow, tree shadow. There we go. So that in itself really emphasizes the importance of good layer management. I've also probably got this person slightly in the wrong place as well, but we'll leave that there anyway. So what I want to finish on is dimensions. Okay. Now I have just been having a little play off camera, so that's why there's a colour to them. The colour by default is obviously black. So what's nice is when you're creating plan and drawings, you need to, where are we? Sorry, stroke. Let's just get that to black as well. You need to give a sense of scale. Now that is through a scale bar. I thought we had a scale bar somewhere. Well, we'll come back to scale bars. I thought we did do a scale bar, but anyway, we'll cover scale bars when it comes to sheeting up, right? So you've got scale bars. You have to show scale bars and north arrows on your plan and drawings, but it's also good to show some overall dimensions as well. And the level of control in styling your dimensions is absolutely excellent in Rayon as well. So we've got these different termination points. I like the 45-degree angle. So we've got the 2 ends there. The stroke, I think you want to just keep that as thin as possible. Font, we want to find our Helvetica. I thought I uploaded that. What's that? Ah, right, okay. Well, this is an opportunity to upload a font. So, upload font. It's absolutely brilliant, this. Let me just find our font, which is Helvetica now. Let me do regular. What's the difference there? Right, there we go. And that's the font. Excellent. How easy is that? Can probably sit that back there now. It's a bit more prominent. I like that. Okay. So back to the dimension. We want to increase the text size, I think, to 500 mil. Perfect. Right. And our practice has a brand colour of orange. I forget the exact hex code now, a bit naughty, but we'll just pinch that one. And then for the stroke, we do the same. And there we are. It's not the clearest on this drawing, I must admit. You might have an opinion on the orange as well. Now, layer. We want that to be on. Let me just move that. We want this to be on annotation. So it sits above the shadow, look at that. And all you need to do is then repeat, before we insert it, that wasn't on the right layer. Make sure before you insert it, you select annotation. It should then remember that. And I'm just going to call out the building. Yeah, it remembers that layer now for future insertions. Excellent. So we've just picked up on the overall kind of building dimensions. You might even take have we got an option for inserting that? What I'm looking for is just inserting that orthographically. Can we hold shift? Yeah. Nice. Not quite giving us the 12489. Let's just double check that that is right. So what I'm going to do is, just to be absolutely certain, I'm going to create a layer. I'm going to call it guides. And that'll be a layer that I'll make it the active layer for now. Let's make sure we've just got a nice solid black line. And that'll be a layer that we can use. Now that has worked, by the way. So you hold shift to insert it orthographically. So brilliant. But for absolute assurance, don't make any assumptions. I'm going to use that guideline there. And then if I just change the active layer, let me just change that to annotation. If I then change the active layer to annotation, turn guides off, and we absolutely know then that that's in the right place. Although actually, I don't mind that it's there. We could even come up with a new line style. And we'll call this guideline. Add a dash to it. Oh, that was a tiny. Let's do something like a 10. There we go. And maybe just soften the colour just to a grey. I don't mind that. It just gives a sense of where that's coming from. You could use those guidelines then on other things. Notice the way the shadows, I spent a lot of time on, like, you know, just drawing in the shadows of the steps. Just to show you the process for that. RE for rectangle. Building shadow. And it's just as simple as that. a little inner shadow to show depth to the pool. Look at that. So that is how you make a drawing, in this case, a site plan, beautiful using Rayon. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Next, we're going to be moving on to the floor plans. And same again, it'll be 2 steps. It'll be line work first, or the drone work first. And then the second one will be hatches, colours and what have you. Now, as I was just saying that in my little outro, I've just thought of one thing I haven't done is line weight. So let me just let me just finish on this. I do apologise. Let's do shape, and then we'll do building outline. It was just as I was looking at it then, right? And we want the outline of these buildings to be that. It's not quite giving me the option, but we can just build it in here. That's absolutely fine. So let's do something like a 1, right? Yes, look at that. I'd even go chunkier than that. Line weights are absolutely massive. Look at the prominence that we've give that building now by introducing that line weight. Could even do a little 0.5 for the edge of the pool. But the key thing here is a nice chunky line for the perimeter of your building. Two. There we go. So much better. Let's give that a little cheeky 1. Let's do that for that then as well, just so it catches that wall. And there we go. So much nicer. We have got a little bit of a conflict with the tree shadows. That's not lost on me. Can we drop that below colour fills so it works there, but then we lose it there? So there's a little bit more finesse with the layer in there, but I think that's absolutely fine. Like we could put just certain things on a higher layer just to make it absolutely spot on. But I think that's absolutely fine. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.